Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome everyone to our latest explainer. Today, we're taking a close look at what has to be one of the most incredible, dramatic, and just flat-out hard-fought stories in modern football. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, known universally to fans as the Leopards, have officially made a triumphant return to the FIFA World Cup. And get this, they were literally the very last team to qualify for the massive 48-team roster for 2026. So you've got to wonder, how exactly did a sleeping giant of African football wake up just in the nick of time to punch that final ticket? Well, let's find out.
Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We're going to cover 1. 52 years in the making. 2. The architect, Sebastien Desabre. 3. Their tactical identity and style. 4. Squad strengths and weaknesses. And 5. The Group K Challenge.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, 52 years in the making.
So how does a continental powerhouse, a team that had already won 2 Africa Cup of Nations titles by 1974, just completely disappear from the global stage for half a century? 52. That's exactly how many years a nation of 100 million people has been waiting to see their flag flying on the grandest stage in football. To really put that into perspective, they were the very first sub-Saharan African team to ever qualify for a World Cup, and for this upcoming tournament, they were the absolute last to get in. It's incredibly poetic, honestly. Now, looking at this timeline, it really tells a story of deep trauma followed by ultimate triumph. Back in 1974, playing under the name Zaire, the team arrived as African champions, but suffered a massive systemic collapse. We're talking corrupt political interference from the Mobutu regime, unpaid bonuses, and that infamous 9-0 thrashing by Yugoslavia, where players basically just stopped engaging as a form of protest. For decades after that, with a total lack of investment and infrastructure, the Leopards really struggled. They had a heartbreaking near miss in 2018, falling short by just a single point. But fast forward to 2026, and the drought was finally broken in the most dramatic fashion you could imagine. An Axel Tuanzebe header in the 100th minute of their final playoff against Jamaica. Just incredible stuff. Moving right along to Section 2, architect Sebastien Desabre. When Sebastien Desabre arrived in 2022, let's be real, the team was in absolute crisis. They had just lost their first 2 AFCON qualifiers. But the French tactician, often called the White Wizard by football observers because of his deep 15-year understanding of African football, didn't come in and try to force some rigid European template onto the team. And this brilliantly illustrates his whole philosophy. He channeled their natural individual flair into strict collective discipline. He actually managed to convince incredible diaspora talent to return and play for the Leopards, building a squad totally rooted in solidarity and ruthless efficiency.
Which brings us nicely to Section 3, tactical identity and style.
Desabre isn't just about instilling good vibes. He's engineered a rigorous, evidence-based tactical rebirth out there on the pitch. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how pragmatic, yet completely physically dominant his 4-2-3-1 formation is. He uses 2 defensive midfielders, a double pivot, to just relentlessly protect the backline. And what that does is allow his pacey wide players to launch explosive transitions, feeding right into a lone physical striker who can hold up the play. You know, it's not about making a million intricate passes like you might see elsewhere. It's about winning the ball back and moving it forward with lethal, punishing purpose. And a massive, absolutely crucial part of that system relies on intense defensive energy. They utilize a highly disciplined mid-walk, meaning they're not engaging too high up the pitch until the exact right moment. But the second they lose the ball, they use elements of gegenpressing. They press ferociously to win that ball back instantly before the opponent can even blink. And once they do, they launch these devastating counterattacks. We are talking about going from deep defense to a direct shot on goal in under 10 seconds flat.
Let's look at the players executing this in Section 4, squad strengths and weaknesses.
To truly understand their chances in the tournament, we've got to look at a pretty stark contrast in their squad makeup. So the crucial point is their absolute superpower, a backline dripping with English Premier League pedigree. Guys like Chancel Mbemba, Wan-Bissaka, Arthur Masuaku, and Axel Tuanzebe bring this incredible physical power and defensive awareness. But on the flip side, they are facing the ultimate psychological unknown. Think about this. Not a single player on this roster has ever played in a World Cup. None of them. Furthermore, their goalkeeping unit, while definitely competent at the club level, really lacks elite international tournament experience, and that could for sure be a critical vulnerability against top-tier attackers. But hey, make no mistake, that backline is truly formidable.
Over a grueling 13-match World Cup qualification campaign, they conceded only 7 goals. Let that sink in. That is statistically elite. Led by their 107-cap captain, Chancel Mbemba, this isn't just some nice, feel-good underdog story. This is a highly organized, stingy defensive unit that absolutely knows how to shut down opponents.
And the protection sitting right in front of that defense, it's equally relentless. 29. That is the exact number of minutes it took defensive midfielder Samuel Moutoussamy to win a tackle at AFCON 2025. A tackle every 29 minutes. He is the combative engine in that midfield, just tirelessly disrupting the rhythm of technically gifted opponents all game long.
But as we all know, you can't win if you don't score, right? Up front, they rely on pure explosive directness. You've got the 35-year-old veteran Cédric Bakambu, who sits at 21 international goals, literally just one shy of the all-time national record. You have Yoane Wissa bringing blistering Premier League pace from Newcastle United, and definitely keep your eyes on Gaël Kakuta, a prodigy at Lille who scored a Champions League brace before he even turned 21. These forwards have one job: capitalize on those lightning-fast transitions we talked about earlier. All right, bringing us to our final section, Section 5, the Group K Challenge.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because this group is basically the final boss phase of their underdog arc. DR Congo enters as the lowest-ranked team here at 56th. And look who they drew. Portugal, ranked 6th, and Colombia, ranked 13th. That is a sheer mountain to climb. The gulf in global tournament experience between DR Congo and a squad like Portugal is just massive. Their closest competitor on paper is the tournament debutante, Uzbekistan.
So strategically speaking, how do they actually survive this? Well, the schedule itself actually offers a glimmer of hope, because they play the hardest matches first. Step 1 is simply to survive against Portugal's elite technical squad on June 17th. Step 2, utilize their physicality and those rapid counterattacks against Colombia. Now, even if they lose both of those games, the new expanded 48-team format means the top 8 third-place teams still advance. And that makes Step 3 the absolute most critical, the June 27th matchup against Uzbekistan. That is the game the Leopards must target for a victory. If they secure those 3 points, they suddenly have a very, very realistic path to the round of 32.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question. Will the Leopards finally secure their first ever World Cup victory, or will history repeat itself on the grandest stage? They are returning not just with passion, but with a highly disciplined, incredibly dangerous tactical system. On June 17th, 100 million people in the Democratic Republic of the Congo will be watching, holding their breath, hoping to see 5 decades of waiting turn into a historic triumph. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch unfold. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.